Thank you so much to Two Dots for sponsoring today's video. If Draculaura is 1600 years old, why does she still need to attend high school? And isn't it odd for her to be dating 17-year-old Claude Wolf, who she also babysat when they were younger? Holla, Claude9 here, and today we're exposing 27 errors and mistakes with Monster High that simply make no sense. We'll also be discussing some errors and flaws with the new live-action movie. But before we get started, comment your thoughts on the live-action movie below if you've watched it, and beware as there are some spoilers ahead. We want to give a shout out to Kingdom Orange 2, who also did a video on things about Monster High that don't make sense. I've linked that video down below. Before we get started, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, turn on notifications, and hit subscribe so you never miss a tea on the toys you love. Now, let's dive in. 1. Laguna's stage fright. In 2012, Laguna Blue was featured in the line Dance Class, and was also featured in the webisode Fright Dance. So why is it she suddenly has stage fright in the movie Great Scarier Reef? Additionally, it was mentioned that Laguna was briefly on the fear leading team. Kinda odd the writers for the movie didn't think to give her another phobia that didn't contradict her being a dancer. 2. Van Helsing. In the 2011 movie Fright On, Administrator Van Helsing is welcomed by Headless Headmistress Bloodgood for his activism in the monster community and for being a human super knowledgeable on monsters. However, in the following year, 2012's Ghouls Rule, Deuce and Claude say a video is played every year before Halloween that claims Van Helsing is a famed monster hunter feared by all. And this is corroborated by his niece Lilith Van Helsing, who says her uncle was a famous monster hunter. 3. Fake vegan. For most of Monster High's lore, Draculaura's veganism to vegetarianism to vegan again, which, let's clarify, are two different things, is pretty solid. She has a fear of blood and a fear and discomfort around meat. So shockingly, in the 2015 movie Boo York, a Monsterific musical, she complains that the gala is out of King Tut and crab rolls, which wouldn't make sense if Draculaura is vegan, seeing as she wouldn't even be eating the crab rolls. 4. Stupid Cupid. We meet the character C.A. Cupid in the movie Why Did Ghouls Fall in Love? She is the adopted daughter of Eros and doesn't know what type of monster she is. So Ghoulia studies her and presumes she's some type of bone elemental. When she later transfers to Ever After High in 2013, her monster scaritage is erased and she's completely a cherub. Well, that's a flaw. It's a tad more forgivable one than the fact she never tells anyone at Ever After High that she transferred from Monster High. In the end of Boo York, a Monsterific musical, Astronova calls Raven Queen and Apple White to inform them that Monster High is real. So why would Cupid never tell them that? Additionally, Astronova was clearly able to FaceTime Apple and Raven, which means Cupid is a fake-ass friend who literally ditched Monster High and never had the decency to keep in contact with any of them. And what happens when things don't make sense? You connect the dots. That brings us to today's sponsor, Two Dots. Two Dots is a relaxing puzzle game that's free to play on iOS and Android and has over 115 million downloads globally. Two Dots has been around since 2014, and I remember playing the game when I was doll hunting as a kid, driving between stores, and it's still a favorite of mine. What makes this game different from other puzzle games is not only is the scenic minimalistic design aesthetically relaxing, but they do weekly events like scavenger hunts where you have to find hidden items on a map, or the treasure hunt where you need to complete 7 special levels to unlock a unique reward. What I love most about Two Dots is that it really challenges me to have a sense of accomplishment when I'm feeling a block, and sometimes that little reminder that I can solve any puzzle gives me the motivation to tackle bigger challenges like finishing this video to share with all of you. You can download Two Dots by using my link in the description today. Now, back to the list. 5. Who even is Abominable? It is stated many times that Abominable is a Yeti from the Himalayas. She frequently jokes about her love of yaks and life in the mountains. So why does she have a Russian accent? The Himalayas mountain range is located in South Asia, going through Pakistan, northern India, Nepal, and China, but not Russia. So why does Abby have a thick Russian accent? 6. Vocal error. In the movie 13 Wishes, Gory Fangtail relentlessly bullies Howleen during one of the scenes in which Gory is poorly attempting to drag Howleen to filth. If you listen closely, her voice switches from Gory to Toralei to Gory again.
What are you even doing in this hall anyway?
I
Why didn't Geek Hall is over there? Geek Hall is over there.
Presumably, it was originally both Toralei and Gory who bully Howleen, and they just ended up using the audio clips anyway. Number 7. Colorblind. Manny Tor is the son of the Minotaur and will be a returning character in the Monster High animated series on Nickelodeon. He has a sister Minotaur, who we've never got to meet, but is one of the few people he's very intimidated by. But what else is he intimidated by? The color red. In the movie Fright, Manny says he hates the color red, yet ironically he wears a red t-shirt. Glad Monster High makes dollars, cause it does not make sense. Number 8. Glasses Be Gone. Viperine Gorgon is a 2014 introduced character from the movie Fright's camera action. She was originally revealed at New York Comic Con and is canonically the cousin of Deuce Gorgon. Though oddly Deuce's long-term girlfriend, Cleo Denial, doesn't even mention the family relation in the movie. That somewhat excusable plot hole isn't the error we're exposing today though. It's the quick scene right here in which animators forgot to give Viperine her glasses for a split second. Luckily, Viperine doesn't share Medusa's ability to turn others to stone like Deuce does, so no one was harmed. But still, did you catch this while watching the movie? Number 9. A Dynastic Duo. Boo York Boo York, a Monsterific musical, sets up some interesting character traits for one Toralei Stripe. Despite having the ability to mimic other characters' voices perfectly, Toralei is an awful singer. Literal nails on a chalkboard. While Catty Noir is one of the most famous vocalists in Monster High's lore. After stealing a special crystal that grants wishes, Toralei steals Catty Noir's voice, creating beef with Catty Noir and subsequently humiliating herself on Bloodway. Soon after though, the two were made into a 2-pack for a duet. This makes no sense considering the way Toralei betrayed Catty and the fact Toralei can't sing. Like, at all. This one we can actually make sense of though, as former Monster High designer Garrett Sander revealed the 2-pack was supposed to be Catty Noir and Casta Fierce, but Toys R Us wanted the 2-pack to be 2 werecats, and so Casta was replaced with Toralei. 10. Memory of a Goldfish. Perhaps Monster High's most controversial couple, Laguna Blue and Gillington Weber, aka Gil, have had a bumpy relationship, but we have to admit, the relationship has survived some serious tests against it. In the movie Escape from Skull Shores from 2012, Laguna invites Gil to the Great Barrier Reef to meet her parents and spend spring break. An anxious and reluctant Gil agrees, but a kraken sinks their ship, and then the two are manipulated into going to a remote island with their beasties by a con man, and in the scene where Laguna gets kidnapped, Gil literally abandons her. That's fine though, because he actually swam all the way to the Great Barrier Reef to meet Laguna's parents to get help. The kraken that sank their ship fixes it, and with the help of Laguna's parents, who Gil even calls really nice folks, Laguna and the ghouls are saved. 3 years later, it's as though the journey never happened because it's as though Gil is meeting Laguna's family for the first time. In the movie Great Scarier Reef. The movie also centers around abusing and bullying a kraken, which doesn't add up given the Skull Shores plot either. So honestly, can we just throw the entire Great Scarier Reef movie into the garbage? 11. The School of Endless Finances. Naturally, Monster High is a campy show like Barbie, so it's an unrealistic amount of glamour and opulence that one can only dream of having. For example, Draculaura has a closet easily the size of a small country. However, aside from Draculaura and Cleo Denial, most of the other Monster High characters are depicted as, well, middle-class citizens, if that. I mean, they wear the same outfit every day, so they can't be that wealthy. But how in the world is Laguna's family wealthy enough to just own a private yacht? And I hadn't flown on a plane until I turned 17 years old, but Scare City of Fright set this expectation that you can bring an unlimited amount of luggage. This would easily cost millions. Obviously, it's a cartoon, so don't drag me for this one, but like, Ghoulia's scooter breaks and yet none of her fabulously wealthy friends was cool enough to just buy her a new one. She literally had to perform in the streets. We do not give Ghoulia enough credit. While her besties are being handed luxuries, she is a working woman. Number 12. The age thing is odd. Again, obviously this is a fantasy, but part of their punny fun of Monster High is that Draculaura is 1600 years old, and other various characters share this trait of being numerically ancient. Yet some characters are typical human ages, like for example Claude Wolf, who is 17. It's a tad odd to think that Draculaura is over 8,000 years old, yet still needs to learn virtually anything. Cleo's age can be somewhat forgiven, because we can presume that most of that time was spent in a tomb. home, so she wasn't learning during that time. But Draculaura babes, you were literally alive when half of this information was being documented. Why do you need to study? How do you not know how to drive? It's a little odd that a literal grown woman, if you could even call her that because she's so old, continues to stay in high school. We will continue to deliberately ignore this fact because it's a cartoon and it can't be, and we like that. 13. Housing problems. Gigi Grant was introduced in 13 Wishes, and Laguna Blue is stated several times to be an exchange student from Australia. But where do they live? Where is their home? Who exactly is Laguna living with? Gigi literally got released from a lantern. Does she just sleep outside of the school? Someone please explain. 14. Flawed wishes. In the movie 13 Wishes, Howling Wolf wishes to be popular, and while the wish works on literally everyone, somehow Cleo Denial is aware that Howleen used a genie to become popular. We can surmise this is just because she knew about Gigi, but then why do Rebecca Steam, Venus McFlytrap, Operetta, and Rochelle Goyle go from being charmed and entranced by the wish to suddenly against her? We could assume this is because they're already friends with the ghouls, and technically she wished to be popular, and the majority of the school loves her, so that's still true. She didn't technically wish that everyone liked her, but still, a tad bit of a plot hole. 15. Parents don't matter. Something odd about Monster High is that things that would typically require parents' permission don't matter at all in the Monster High universe. For example, instead of asking their parents if they can go to Scaris, Claudine and her ghouls ask permission from Bloodgood. When Frankie legitimately dies in a movie about family, no one thinks, hey, we should probably call Frankie's parents and let them know. Nope, their daughter just died. But the entire school will know before her parents ever do. Probably because it's a liability and Monster High could easily be sued for the amount of irreparable damage the school has done unto its students. But anyways, did anyone else find this odd or could you just brush it off? 16. Rebecca's parts. Rebecca Steam was originally introduced in the movie Friday Night Frights and later featured in the movie Ghouls Rule. In Friday Night Frights, Rebecca has been disassembled after players from another team cheated by breaking her, which isn't that literally murder? I guess not, but also like, yes it is? Anyways, while piecing her back together, Rebecca Steam's heart is different than the one in Fright's camera action, which we later find out is the vampire's heart. I'll be honest, this is an error that I'm willing to oversee because like, sure, fine. Whatever. It's cool that Rebecca was even involved in the movie despite not getting a doll until Comic-Con. 17. Reflections. It's established since 2010 in New Ghoul at School that vampires at Monster High do not have reflections. And an animation error in 2012 is when Valentine is looking at the picture frames and his reflection is shown in the glass. 18. Shoe swap. In Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, the scene in which Frankie Stein is smashing Cupid's bow, her shoes switch from Sweet 1600 shoes to her original shoes for a split second. 19. Glasses. Again. In Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, while Deuce is talking to Jackson, Deuce's glasses are missing and this would have turned Jackson to stone. 20. Gala Ghoul Friend. An animation error in Boo York, LED switches from her basic outfit to her gala look. 21. Love makes no sense. In Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, Draculaura shares that she's basically still infatuated with Valentine and has been for hundreds of years. But girl, get a grip. In spite of being in love with him for many years, she never attempts to reach out to him or call him. Torlai does this in a matter of seconds, and not only that, but he's able to switch schools by simply walking in. No paper sign, we don't even know that he lived in the same country, but he switches schools. Just like that. Because logic. But like, Draculaura, if you were that obsessed, you would have called. And that's on period. 22. Walk of Shame. At the end of Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, Valentine and Torlai walk away from the school defeated. But at this point, Draculaura and the Ghoul Gang are back in their regular attire, and Draculaura is able to drive, which means she got her license. Does this mean that Valentine and Torlai have taken several days to leave the school? 23. The live-action movie. This is what you've been waiting for. There's a few somewhat excusable errors with the live-action movie, and I wanted to make mention that I'm also working on a fun facts video discussing rarely talked about Easter eggs in the Monster High live action movie that I can't wait to scare with you all. Make sure you're subscribed and you turn on notifications so you don't miss it. But let's get into fact 23. If Komos is son of Hyde, who was a student at the same time as Selena Wolf and Dracula, why is he significantly older than Claudine? Also, by the logic of Draculaura's age, she would have been alive during the death of Hyde and would also be aware of Komos' birth. I'm sure I could make a stronger argument for this, but I'm I just can't think right now. And I just think they could have been more thoughtful with the lore. 24. Birthing mystery. Como says that after Hyde was kicked out of Monster High, he was chased by angry humans and killed. So how was he born? You could technically argue that we don't know the time frame in which Hyde was killed between getting kicked out and getting murdered, but like, I'm still not convinced. 25. Bad secret keeper. The largest part of this movie's plot is Claudine trying to conceal her human identity from everyone except Draculaura and Frankie. But during the nighttime scene, Claudine calls her dad and tells them they have to keep the secret of him under wraps in a public hallway. And honestly, we could chalk this up to her just wanting to get caught with all her secrets, because 2 minutes later, she admits to having a crush on Deuce right where Cleo can hear her. 26. Not so forbidden graveyard. The reason Claudine and Frankie have to go to the graveyard at night is because they say it's a strictly off-limits part of the school. Yet, as they're creeping through, we find out that this is Ghoulia's bed. Is it simply off-limits because zombies sleep there, or is this an error they didn't think to correct? I'll wrap up by saying this video is mostly made for fun. I love Monster High. I think things don't have to make sense. It's a kids franchise. We don't have to think so deep. But it's always fun to kiki with the community and say, huh, that didn't make sense. Thank you so much again to 2 Dots for sponsoring today's video, and don't forget to download 2 Dots using my link in the description and get to solving puzzles today. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, turn on notifications, and hit subscribe so you never miss the tea on the toys you love. Thanks for watching. See ya!